few minutes back. So here I covered min, max, large, and small. If you have any doubts with reference to whatever we have done till now, feel free to ask in terms of any of the functions. So after applying these four functions, min, max, small, large, next is number count. So I would like to count how many numbers we have in this total transaction, which is J column, how many numeric values we have. To count the numerical values, we have count function in Excel. To count the numerical values in Excel, we have a function called count. And when I go on the left hand side, this count function I would like to apply on my J column. This count function I would like to apply on my J column. So this is what is my range. And if I press enter, in this range, we have 213 numbers. In this range, we have 213 numbers. And the function is count. Now, once we have done this count, next is text count. So I would like to count how many text values we have in a range. So if I go on the left hand side, in column A we have IDs, which is a text, and column C we have names. Column B we have names, wherein we have a text. So let's say I would like to count how many names we have in this range. How many names we have in this range. So now to count the text values, instead of count, we have a second function called, the next function called count A. This is showing me count the number of cells in a range that are not empty, which means this will count everything, whether it is a text or it is a number, but it will not count the blank cells. Are you getting my point or not? So I want to say count A, and now when I say I would like to count column B, let's say I would like to apply this count A on my column B. So now when I press enter, I'm getting 214. So can you tell me why I'm getting 214 here? I was expecting the equal number, which is 213, but I'm getting 214. Can you tell me why?
Because it is also counting the name that is in the header, I think.
Repeat.
It is also counting the name that is in the header, in the heading,
Right.
at the first.
Because count A is counting the complete text value, right? And this name is also a text, which I do not want. So in this case, what I want here is, when I say is equal to count A, there's only one heading, right? So -1. Why -1? To exclude one heading, and now the output is 230.
Hi, Jatin.
Hi.
Can you please show this number count and text count formulas again?
So for the number count, this is count. Let me say show formulas. Number count, and text count is count A. For counting the numbers, we are using count, but for counting the text, we are using count A, And now because I do not want to count the heading, so from there I'm saying -1, that is count A -1. Clear?
Yes.
Now, once I have done this, next is blank values in week 1. So if you see here week 1 data, we have a blank cell here. Then again we have a blank cell. Then again we have a blank cell here. So in week 1, there are lot many records whose value is blank in week 1, and I would like to count those blank cells. So first let me remove this formula, show formula. And now if you see here week 1, if you see this week 1, if you see this week 1, we have a lot of blank cells, and I would like to count the number of blank cells, right? Now to do that, in Excel we have a function called third one, which is count blank. In Excel we have a function called count blank, which will count the number of blank cells in a range. And now when I say count blank, and if I select this range, which is F column, right? Count blank, and I'm referring to my F column. So when I press enter now here the output is 10,48,370. Why it is showing me such a huge number? Because when I'm saying count blank, I want to apply on my column F. So if you see here, there are certain blank cells in a range, right? But because my entire column is selected, so you can see after these numbers, there are a lot of blank cells. In fact, all the cells are blank, and this is counting all those blank cells, and you are able to see those 10 lakh because we have close to 10 lakh entries in my Excel sheet. So this time, I do not want to apply count blank on the entire column. I have to apply count blank only on only on these numbers. Till here, right? Only till this range, only on this range, I want to apply the function called count blank. So let me make that change in my formula, delete this number, and again open the function count blank. Again open the function count blank. And now this is asking me the range. So I'll go here on the left hand side. Now I'll go to this F2, which is 435. Now press Shift Control down. But the moment you press Shift Control down, it will get stopped here in between, because there's a blank cell. So whenever there's a blank cell, Shift Control down will get stopped. So again press Shift Control down. Again press Shift Control down, 3, Shift Control down. You have to keep pressing Shift Control down till the time you don't reach to the extreme bottom. And this time I have pressed Shift Control down many times, because that depends upon the number of the blank cells. And there's a possibility that I may have a bigger range and I'll have many more blank cells, which means I have to keep pressing Shift Control down many times. Is it clear or not clear?
Yeah.
So do we have any alternative of it? Because we'll work on a lengthy ranges and we'll have lot many blank cells. So the answer is yes, we have. So when you say count blank, delete the range, just come to the first cell of the range, click on this F2, count blank, click on this F2. Now press Shift Control down and keep it pressed. Don't leave that. So Shift Control down. See, when I keep it pressed within a fraction of seconds, Excel has taken me to the extreme bottom. And when you reach to the extreme bottom, then one time just press Shift Control up arrow and you will see that you are the last cell. So this is the fastest way right? This is a faster way to select the range. So let me do it again. Let me delete this. I'll simply come here on the right, blank values in week 1. Just open count blank. Just open count blank, go on the left hand side. Simply go to this 435, which is the first cell of this range. Press Shift Control down. See, within a fraction of a second, you reach to the extreme bottom. And then one time, Shift Control up, and you will see that the range is selected. This is a complete range. Right? And simply press enter. That is 8. So in my range, we have 8 times where the range is blank. Got it? Or not?
Yes.
And which is this function? This is count blank. So lowest, minimum, maximum, large, small, count, count A, count blank is done. Next is zero value in week 2. In week 2, how many times the value is 0? So here we have a 0. Here we have a 0. So now I want to count in this range G column, but only those cells where the value is 0. Which function? COUNTIF. We have done it earlier also. If you see here, where I said in how many weeks the transaction value is more than 5,000. So at that point of time, the range was all the 4 weeks and we were counting more than 5,000. Now my range is week 2 and my criteria is 0. So in this range, what I want to count is 0. The function is COUNTIF is equal to COUNTIF range comma criteria. In which range you want to count, that is my week 2, which is my G column. This is my range. And here the criteria is 0. Criteria is 0. And now when I press enter, this is 5. Got it? Which function? COUNTIF. What is the range? And the criteria is 0. Now once I have done this, Now, similarly, can you tell me how many premium IDs we have and how many standard we have in range K column? So now I would like to count in my K column how many premium IDs we have and how many standard IDs we have, and that is what you have to do it here. Quickly do it, and once you finish, please let me know the output in the chat window, everyone. That in my K column, how many premium and how many standard IDs we have. I'm waiting for your answers in the chat window. So premium is 53 and 160. But few of you are also saying, okay, so let me do it here. I want to count how many premium and how many standard. The function is countf, in which range and the criteria. So my range is my K column. Range is my K column, and the criteria is premium. And you know that if we have a text, so text we always put it in double quotes. Last time when I was counting 0, so 0 was a numeric value. So numerical value, they don't need a double quotes, but text values, they need a double quotes. And now 53 is a premium count. And similarly, when I say count F, again the same range, which is my K column. And this time I would like to know the number of standard IDs. So that is 160. So this is a correct answer. Premium count is 53 and standard count is 160. Right? Now, once we have done this, now premium count is 53. Listen to me carefully. Premium count is 53, but now I want to count I want to know premium count in Delhi. So number of premium IDs is 53. But out of this 53, how many premium IDs we have in Delhi? Which means what I want is I want to count that in my K column, it should be premium. But along with this, I have one more condition, that in my C column, which is location should be Delhi. So now, how many conditions we have? I still want to count, but how many conditions we have? We have 2 conditions. That I still want to do, count the premium IDs, but at the same time, there's an additional criteria that location should be Delhi. So whenever you want to count, and last time we have counted premium IDs, we have counted standard IDs, but now I have 2 conditions. It should be premium and it should be Delhi. So in Excel, we have another function called count ifs, IFS. count ifs, which is count IFS, which means we have multiple conditions. Which means we have multiple conditions. And then we have criteria range 1, criteria 1. So what is the range 1 and the criteria 1? Let's say my criteria 1 is premium. So what is the range for that? So range is my K column. Range is my K column, wherein in double quotes the criteria is premium. In double quotes the criteria is premium, comma. Now the criteria range 2 and criteria 2. So second criteria, second range. So I want the criteria is Delhi. So what is the range for that? So range is my C column. This is a range, correct? And in the C column, I want it to be Delhi. So if I want, I can even put a third range and a third criteria, which means by using count Fs, I can apply multiple conditions, and for every condition, I can give a different range. So function is count Fs. In K column, it should be premium, and in C column, it should be Delhi, and now 25. So total, we have 53 premium IDs, but premium IDs in Delhi is 25. Is it clear?
Yes. Yes.
After this, I want to count again that how many times the transaction value is in between 30,000 and 40,000. Which means I want to count in my J column total transaction. The transaction value is more than 30,000 and the transaction value is less than 40,000. So we have two conditions. It should be more than 30,000. Second one is it should be less than 40,000. But this time, for both the conditions, we have a same range, which is my J column. Correct? So let me say here again count F, because I have two conditions. So first range 1 is my J column, which is total transaction. Now in this range, comma, what is the criteria? In double quotes, it should be greater than 30,000. In double quotes, it should be greater than 30,000, comma. Now criteria range 2 and second criteria. Now second criteria is less than 40,000. But for that, what is the range? The same range, which is my J column. So I'll select the same range again, J column. This time in double quotes, I want less than 40,000. And double quotes closed. So two conditions, greater than 30,000 and less than 40,000. But for both, the range is the same and the output is 16 times. 1, 6. And if I make it greater than equal to 30,000, greater than equal to 30,000. So then also this is 16. Let's keep it greater than equal to. Clear? Done?
Yes.
After this, sum. Now this time I don't want to see the count, I want to see the sum, and I would like to know the sum of my total transaction, which is in my J column. So I'm looking for the sum of my J column. To do that, I'll go to this function here and I'll say sum. I will use my sum function here. And we want to know the sum of my total transaction, the sum of my J column. It's a simple sum function which I'm applying, and I would like to know the sum of my total transaction, which is 64643. Double 464643. This is the sum of my total transaction. But then what next I want is, I am looking for the sum of total transaction, but only for the premium IDs. Which means I am looking for the sum of my total transactions, but only for premium IDs. So earlier there was a condition with my count, but this time I want to do a sum of my transaction and there's a condition that the status should be premium. So earlier there was a condition with a count, but now there's a condition with a sum. So which function I will use this time? There's a condition with a sum. Which function I will use?
SumF.
SumF.
The SumF. SumF. Wherein we have three arguments: range, criteria, sum range. So what is my criteria? I am searching premium. So premium is my criteria. So in which range we want to search that criteria, and then for which range you need a sum. So my range where I want to search my premium criteria, that is my status 1. This is a range. In this range, comma, what is the criteria? I want premium. So in double quotes, I will type here premium. Function is SumF. In my K column, the criteria is premium. And then I'm looking for the sum. Sum of which range? My total transaction. So total transaction is my sum range. Total transaction is my sum range. So this is a range. And now when I say enter, this is 1424660. So earlier I got total transaction, but this is the sum of transaction only for the premium IDs. Got it? Is it done or not done? Now after this, so I have my sum of total transaction. Then I have sum of total transaction of premium IDs. But now I want to know the sum of my total transaction of premium IDs in Delhi, which means I am looking for the sum of my total transaction. I am still looking for the sum of my total transaction, but in status 1, it should be premium and location should be Delhi. So with my sum, how many conditions we have? With my sum, how many conditions we have? 2 conditions. Location should be Delhi, status should be premium. So which function you will use this time? Will I sum if? So the way we have, so now we will not use sum if. Which one we will use? Sum if. So the way you have count ifs, you also have sum ifs. Now in sum ifs, first this is asking me sum range. In my sum if, first it is asking me sum range. So my sum range is my total transaction, which is my J column. Sum ifs, this is my range, sum range, comma. Now criteria range 1, criteria 1. So first I've defined my sum range. Now criteria range 1, criteria 1. So my range 1 is my status 1, wherein my criteria is premium. So criteria range 1 is K column, wherein the criteria is premium, comma. Now criteria range 2 and criteria 2. So my criteria range 2 is what? Locations that I want to be as Delhi. That I want to be set as Delhi. So function is sum if. We want to know the sum of our total transaction. When in column K it should be premium and C column it should be Delhi. Enter. This is 7,34,055. Function is sum if. So with the sum, if there's a single condition, apply sum if. But if there are multiple conditions, so then you can apply sum. If there are multiple conditions, then you can apply sum ifs, IFS. Clear? So once we have done this, now can you tell me what is the average transaction? Now I would like you to do it. What is average transaction? Then so average transaction of my J column, the same transaction value. So I'm looking for the average of my J column, that is 1. Second, I'm looking for is average transaction of premium IDs, which means I'm looking for the average transaction, but it should be premium. And then I'm looking for average transaction value of premium in Delhi, which means average of J column, it should be premium and location should be Delhi. Which three functions I'm referring to? Which three functions I'm referring to?
Average if, and average ifs.
Right. So all of you please apply these three functions and again let me know the output in the chat window. So if I also apply, one is average, sorry. So I am looking for the average transaction value of my J column, correct? So your figure should match with this 20,960. Then I want average transaction value of premium IDs. The function is average if range criteria. So my range is my looking for premium IDs. So this column K is my range wherein I want to search my criteria as premium, and then I'm looking for the average of my total transaction, which is my J column. Correct? Enter. So this is 28,767. And if I say average transaction of premium in Delhi, so average IFS. And here, first we have to define the average range, that is our total transaction, comma. Then I want criteria range 1, which is my status 1, wherein I want to see premium, comma. Then I want to go to locations, which is my C column, and there I want to see Delhi, where I want to see Delhi. And now when I press enter, this is 29362. Got it. So these are the three numbers. And if these numbers are coming bold, so just select them. And from the home tab, just click on this bold option again to remove them, or you can press the keyboard shortcut Control B. Control B stands for bold. right? Now, once I've done this, next what I'm looking for is median. So what is median? Median is a function which will give you the middle number. Median function will give you the middle number. So if I say median and if I select the same column, J column, so median is not giving me an average. For average, to calculate average, we have an average function. But median will give me only the middle number. And that middle number is 20,857. So if you see here in my J column, if I select only the numbers here, you can see in this range, we have total 213 numbers. So the middle number will be at which position? 100, 100.6.5, 106.5, right? So 106. So there at that 106 position, we have this value, which is 20,857. That is median. Median will give me the middle number. And after median, we have another function called mode. After median, we have another function called mode. And what mode will do? Mode will give you that number which has the highest frequency in a range. Which means mode will give me that number which is coming highest number of times in my data. For example, when I go on my left hand side, you can see in week 4, we have lot many times this 2500, we have lot many times this 5000, and similarly we have few more numbers which are getting repeated here. So I would like to know highest number of times, what is the transaction value we have got highest number of times, whether it's a 10,000, 7,500, 5,000 or 2,500. So which is that number which has the highest frequency? And for that, I am applying the mode function, MODE. So now when I press enter, 5,000. So 5,000 is coming maximum number of times in that particular range. The function is mode. The function is mode. This will give me the number which is coming highest number of times in my data. So which number is coming highest number of times? That is 5,000. And how we have calculated that? By using this mode function. So now if I would like to know this 5,000 is coming highest number of times, but how many times this number is coming? How many times this number 5,000 is coming in that week 4? So which function I will use? Again, COUNTIF. In which range? Week 4. And the criteria is 5,000. So if I go here, my range is my week 4. And the criteria is my this one. 111. So this is 111. So these are the few functions which we have applied here. First, we have applied if function, and if there's a condition, And on the basis of that, you can define what is the true value and what is the false value. So for that, we have a if function. But with the if, you can also use a not function, wherein if this condition is not true, then what I want, else what I want. The value is true and value is false if the condition is not true. So with my if, I have used a not function here. Next time, with my if, I have used an and function. And why do we use and function? Because we have multiple conditions and we want to ensure that all the conditions must be true. So whenever you have multiple conditions and you want to ensure that all conditions must be true, for that we can use and function. So if this and function is true, which means if all the conditions are true, then we want premium, else we want standard. In the next column, instead of if and, we have made a combination with if and or. So what is the difference between and or? And means all conditions must be true, whereas in or, at least one condition must be true. Then here I want to count in how many weeks the transaction value is more than 5,000. So we have applied a simple countf function, wherein the range is my f column and the criteria is more than 5,000. After that, here I want to calculate the rating. So we have a lot of conditions, and as per those conditions, we want to calculate the ratings. So we have 5 conditions, but for every condition, there's a different output. For every condition, we have a different output. That is why you can see we have used multiple time if function, because for every condition, we are using a different output. And this concept is called multiple if as well as nested if. So on the right hand side of this, here I was interested in calculating the lowest value. For that, we have a function min, and we have a function called max that will give me the maximum value. Let me turn on my formulas, go to formula and show formulas. So minimum function will give me minimum number, where the max function will give me the maximum number. If I want to know the second highest number or third highest number, I can use large. And I can also use small to know the second smallest or a third smallest number from the range. Now to count only the numbers, we have a function called count. But to count text and number both, then I can use count A. Count blank is used to count only the blank cells in the range. Count F is used to count a particular range and a particular criteria. For example, here the criteria is 0. Here I want to count the number of premium and standard IDs. So in my range, how many premium, how many standard? Count F. But if I say with premium, it should also be Delhi. That means there are multiple conditions. So with my count, I'm using IFS, which means ifs multiple conditions. Similarly here, how many times the condition is value is more than 30,000 and less than 40,000. 2 conditions. So again, count Fs. Then to calculate the sum of transaction value, it is a simple sum. But the same transaction, the same sum if I want to calculate, but only for the premium IDs. So with my sum also there can be a condition, which is in my case, it should be in column K, it should be premium. And those same premium IDs, if I want to see only in Delhi, so I can say sum Fs, IFS. Wherein the sum range, and then different ranges, and with every range I can give a different criteria. After this, average transaction value, simple average. But average transaction value only for the premium IDs. So what is the function? Average F. And similarly, I want to know the average of premium IDs, but only in Delhi. So function is average F, IFS. Similarly, we have a function called median that will give me the middle number out of the range. And we also have a function called mode, which will give me the number which has the highest frequency in the range. And if I want to know how many times this number is coming, so again I have used the countif function here. So this was a quick recap of the functions which we have applied here. Do you have any doubt here? Do you want to ask anything? Do you want to ask anything? So if we have done this, let me turn off the formulas. Let me save my sheet. And now all of you come to this total transactions. I'll come to the cell number J1. Come to the cell number J1 and press Shift Control down arrow. Shift Control down arrow. That will select all these numbers. Just copy these, Control C. Just copy them, Control C. And then go on the left hand side, come here below. Come to the cell number A220. Come to the cell number A220. A column cell number 220. And simply paste the values, Control V paste. The moment you press Control V, you will get an error. Because that total which you're copying from there, that total has a formula in between. So whenever you try to paste a formula, you will always get this error. So whenever you paste, you have to define that I do not want to paste the formula. I just want to paste these values. So after pasting, you will get these control options, which we also call them as a paste special options. Which we also call them as a paste special, and from here we have paste values. And here you can see value, the very first option. If I say this values, so it will paste that values here and it will remove that formula. But it has also removed that formatting. So I want to paste the value here, but I also want to keep the same formatting. So go back to this control option. And instead, in this paste value, instead of the first option, see the second option and the third option. Second option is, it will paste them as a value, but with a number formatting. And in the third one, it will paste them as a value with a source formatting. So my source is this range. So I want to have the same formatting which is there in my source. So I will simply go to the third option. So this is now value and a source formatting. And now when you click on any of these cells, you can't see the formula in the formula bar because they are not pasted here as a formula. They have been pasted as only a value. So whenever you have a formula and you try to do copy paste, you will always get that issue. So you always have to do a copy, go to that control option, which we also call them as a paste special options. Simply go to those options and say paste value and take the option source formatting. Clear or not clear?
Yeah.
Now these values, which I have just copied, select these values, go to this A220, shift control down, come to this cell A220, shift control down, So these value, now these are not the formula, this is just a value. Copy this range. Copy this range. Come here on the right hand side, this cell number C220. Control V paste. So the same value we have pasted here. But now go to control option. And here we have this option called transpose. What this transpose will do? It will convert the vertical data to horizontal and vice versa. So if I click here, transpose, you can see it has changed the orientation of the data, and the vertical data is shifted to horizontal, and same also goes as vice versa. Are you getting my point or not? This is also a paste special option. Any doubt? Now let me copy this left hand side values again. Come back to A220. Shift control down. Control C copy. And this time I want to paste these values, let's say on a different Excel sheet. So go add a new sheet here. Select any cell. First simply press Ctrl V paste. And after pasting, go back to control options. Go back to control option, and this time take this option called paste link. Take this option called paste link. What this paste link will do? This will paste the data here, and this data is linked to my previous Excel data, this one. Which means if you make any changes here, those changes will immediately get updated here. For example, let me go to my data sheet, and here if I go up, and here if I say 0 for the first few values. So if I go here, you can see this is already 0. So many of the time, we prefer that we have copied our data from to multiple Excel sheets. And now if I make a change in one Excel sheet, it should get updated everywhere. So I can use this option called paste link. So these are the few paste special options which we have seen. One is if you do not, so whenever there's a formula, so you copy, you paste them as a value. That's one. After pasting them as a value, you can do a transpose of that, which is second option. And third we have seen is we can paste the data on a separate sheet, or even I can paste it on a separate Excel workbook. And there also I can keep this option of a link. And this is what we were supposed to cover. If you see here, logical functions, if, and, or, not, and combining multiple conditions using nested if. Statistical functions, count, count A, count blank, count if, average, average if, sum if, and sum ifs, min, max, small, large, median, and mode, and then the paste special techniques. Any doubts you have?